Hey folks, how are we doing? Welcome back to the Bocce Piles channel. Yes, so it has been a minute since my last recording, which was some kind of pre-modern, playing some kind of garbage pre-modern deck. Let's see, here we go. Yeah, I was trying out some stuff that wasn't very good. But since then, let's see, well, in paper, I did it circuitously in paper. And I spent a bunch of money on various pre-modern cards before I finally settled on a deck that I liked. And, no surprise, it is one that plays Nimble Mongoose, which does harken back to the days of playing Canadian Threshold and Legacy. It's kind of an every matchup is 50-50 kind of deck in my experience. You play Mox Diamond, you play like a Nimble Mongoose or a Terravore, and then blow the world up with Armageddon, and you attack with a huge Terravore or a now thresholded Mongoose that can't be targeted. It's pretty straightforward. So this particular build is playing Nimble Mongoose. You see a lot of builds playing Meddling Mage. So why aren't I on Meddling Mage? Well, playing Meddling Mage involves knowing what to name with Meddling Mage. And I just don't really have the reps with that to be comfortable with it. But now that I have a deck that I'm interested in playing, maybe we'll get some reps with Meddling Mage and we can try that out. There's also a flavor that is more of like a junk Terrageddon deck and plays Gerard's Verdict and Vindicate. I'd be interested in that as well. But there is a quarterly tournament in Whittenville, Massachusetts that I'm going to be attending. And this is pretty much the deck that I am in a position to be able to play. And so this is what we've come up with here. So what you usually see in the flex slots are these two Anurid Brush Hoppers where I have these Werebears. The Brush Hopper is like excellent against Stasis. It blinks. Maybe I'll pull it up. See, Magic Online, they haven't fixed the issue where, I don't know, I can't enlarge the card, but, it's this 3/4. It's good at blocking Call of the Herd tokens. Discard 2 cards and blink it, basically. It is hilarious against Stasis, which I did make happen in paper one time to, it was much joy was had by yours truly. So this build, let's see. You also usually you see 3 Armageddons and no Cataclysms, and then 3 Naturalize effects. So I've cut the extra Naturalize, the third, Disenchant Naturalize, and I'm playing 2 Cataclysms, which I think are very good against Enchantress, which I expect to be part of the metagame. And then part of this 4-drop build, because normally you just have 3 Geddons and then the third Naturalize. I think the mana from Werebear should prove beneficial. And then where I've cut the third Naturalize, I am playing the Kor Haven. Yeah, here it is. Which is like the pre-modern Maze of Ith. But, 2 tap it, prevent all damage that Phyrexian Dreadnought would deal. So I've got an extra answer there. And then looking at the sideboard, so we've got Reprisal, adds additional Dreadnought answers. Ray of Revelation to come in against Sylvan Library and Survival of the Fittest. Some Pyroclasm and Simoon, some effective sweepers. So Simoon is like an effective card against burn. So we have this anti-burn package that looks like bringing in Phyrexian Furnace to slow down Grim Lavamancer and Barbarian Ring. Simoon being able to hit ball lightning at instant speed, very good. And then Heroes Reunion, which we are playing over Warmth. One thing is that Mono Green Stompy is a deck. Formerly 10 land Stompy, but now it's 14 land. Mike Flores has been on about this deck. So I don't know if people are actually going to play it, but Heroes Reunion does seem good enough against burn, especially where we have a pretty strong burn package. Like sometimes you'll see the lists playing Warmth, but then they don't play Simoon or Phyrexian Furnace, and they really only have 3 cards to bring in against burn. But we've got 7, so I think we can afford to hedge our bet a bit. Let's see, against like replenish, blue-white replenish. We're going to be bringing in, yeah, the Ray of Revelations, Phyrexian Furnaces to check their graveyard, and the Cursed Totem to shut off their shenanigans. So this build we're playing here maybe has a slightly worse replenish matchup than, I don't know, you could have an unlosable replenish matchup and play something with Sphere of Resistance, or possibly Glow Rider. Part of playing 4 Armageddon effects is that should help a bit. Like Naturalize ends up not being that great against replenish. Like the third Naturalizes versus like another Geddon, because like naturalizing Parallax Tide doesn't really do anything, and neither does naturalizing Attunement. So maybe just another like land destruction kind of spell is better, is kind of the game plan that I have. And then, you know, all these like Enchantress 1 Lobster Con, probably a good idea to have a plan against Enchantress. And that's kind of what we have here with these sweepers. It's kind of the good thing about playing the red splash that we are. Answers to Argothian Enchantress. We are down that third Naturalize effect, but we have the 2 Cataclysms, which should be quite good against Enchantress. So that is kind of the give and the take of this particular build. And I'm just going to jam some games in the tournament practice room. And we'll see how it goes. Okay, we're off to like a slightly glitchy start with Magic Online, but here we go. Turn 1 Thawing Glaciers from our opponent. I feel like I should Wasteland that, but on the other hand, we do have Armageddon, which is probably going to be really good against their Thawing Glaciers. But I drew this other land. I think I'm just going to Wasteland the Thawing Glaciers here and not let them get that crazy thing going. So I think usually it's mono red Thawing Glaciers. Apparently this is a black version. I guess I'm glad I Wastelanded them. I'm sure they're going to take Armageddon, unless they take Sylvan Library here. So I have no idea what's going on with my opponent's deck. Maybe some kind of mono black control. I mean, obviously, I guess, with like Corrupt. All right, they do take Armageddon. So that potentially bodes well for this Sylvan Library coming down. The Werebear is potentially nice. I think I'm going to just go ahead and cycle the Secluded Steppe, assuming it looks like we're going to get to resolve this this Sylvan Library. Now they are playing white, so they could be playing Disenchant. Well, we drew more mana anyway, so it's looking good. So do I just want to slam the Gemstone Mine here? I think I do. It's often better to, you know, bouncing the Gemstone Mine with Risk Grove. It's one of the synergies in the deck. So we might as well tap our Gemstone Mine a couple times. The opponent plays the Caves of Qualos and passes. Sylvan Library trigger, Terravore. Don't really need the Terravore. Another Risk Grove is maybe okay. The Weathered Wayfarer is going to see action. So I think I'm going to pay 4 life. Play the Weathered Wayfarer. Tap this for a green. Play the Risk Grove. Bounce the Gemstone Mine. Tap this for a green, and we'll get the Werebear out. So if the Wayfarer holds, we get to start Wastelanding our opponent. They cycle Undead Gladiator. It's crazy value engine. All right. Yeah, so they're just cycling it, and then they can return it from their hand, from their graveyard to their hand. Cool. There's the swords for the Wayfarer. All right. Gerard's Verdict. This is going to be good for our Mongoose and our Werebear. So I think I just do discard Call of the Herd twice. Well, if I discarded lands, it would grow the Terravore that's on top of my deck. I'm going to discard Call of the Herd. Do I want to discard Risk Grove? Probably do just discard the Call of the Herd. This Werebear in play is the thing to get me towards 4 mana for like an Armageddon. I think I'll just discard Call of the Herd twice. It seems like the obvious thing to do. All right, they're passing. All right. I'd be excited about like a Wasteland or Armageddon. Okay, don't need another Sylvan. I suppose we'll keep the fetch land and shuffle away that Sylvan Library. So I'll grab my forest. And yeah, I just don't have a way to get another card in the graveyard. So I'm pretty sure I can attack with Werebear in this format. And then we can get out this Terravore. So they didn't destroy my Terravore on the end step, so that bodes well. I don't know if they play Wrath of God. I feel like that wouldn't be the end of the world. They play Swords to Plowshares. It's really good with our Sylvan Library because we just gain the life and we get another free card off the library. One funny thing about Gemstone Mine in this deck is that the fact that it depletes can be upside because it gets in your graveyard, whereas Brushland deals you damage and doesn't put anything in your graveyard. Okay, so there's the Wrath of God. It's a little unfortunate, but hopefully we can reload here. A Armageddon or something would be awesome. No such luck, but we do have a goose draw. So do I want to throw caution to the wind and go all in on like double Mongoose here? I'm worried they might have like Exalted Angel or something, so I kind of want to keep the swords around. So do I go to like 4 life and wing it? We do have Calls of the Herd in the graveyard is the thing. So maybe I'll just put this on top. I want to find that get in effect is really what we're looking for here. So I think I'm going to pay 4, and I am just going to use my mana effectively here and flash back the Call of the Herd. Like we could have played the Mongoose for 1, but then we'd have 3 unused mana. And if we find the Armageddon here and get to Armageddon plus Goose in 1 turn, that'll be exciting. No such luck, though. Well, we can call plus Goose if we're not scared of Wrath of God. We're not getting there on the Geddon, sadly. I guess I'll hide the Mongoose on top. I'll attack for 3. And man, how much do I want to commit to the board here? Is a tough question. I'm gonna flash back the other call. I really don't want to just walk into another Wrath, but they only have 3 cards in hand. And they're at 12 life. Alright, I think I'm just gonna play out the Goose here. Maybe where they're at 12 life, that's just 2 attacks, and so committing an extra creature to the board here is just silly. I don't know, we'll see if we get Wrathed or what the deal is. They do their Thawing Glaciers routine. It would be unfortunate if our opponent hits 2 Wraths before we hit 2 Geddons. They play Thawing Glaciers and pass, so that's encouraging. Okay, none of these matter. So we'll just keep the last Mongoose in hand, of course, and get in for 6. They've got something. Cycling a Decree of Justice. Yeah, that makes sense. That doesn't pose too much of an issue. It's not like they can double block and kill anything, but they can save some life. And then our next attack is lethal. They're tapping mana over there. 6 of it. So they did hit another sweeper. And a Chroma's Vengeance. Well, it's unfortunate. One thing about our deck is we do play 26 lands. And unfortunately, I didn't put the Sylvan Library on top of my deck. We could be playing that this turn instead of the Kor Haven. Alright, they're doing some undead gladiator shenanigans. So we've got undead gladiator, 3 cards in hand. They're playing the undead gladiator as a blocker. So probably just going to go ahead and swords this here. So we can attack with our mongoose. We're going to draw the Sylvan. Attack with a mongoose. We get in for 3. Here's Sylvan Library. Library's in. Activate Thawing Glaciers. The glaciers have been thawed. Alright, they have another one. Well, that's going to slow down my Nimble Mongoose assault. So what we really need here is to draw an Armageddon. Terravore is an okay one too. A Wasteland. Do I feel like I need to Wasteland their Thawing Glaciers? And go to 3 life. It seems awfully precarious. Alright, yeah, we'll just, they have mana, so we're going to let that go. And I'm going to play the Terravore. And pass. What would be great is like a Swords to Plowshares on this Terravore. So that I can gain a bunch of life and dig deeper with the library. My opponent that's over there just got to be praying we don't find Armageddon ever. Here's Wasteland. Cool, more lands. So I probably do want to get the glaciers. So I'll keep the Wasteland a secret. I think I'm actually going to draw the Mox Diamond. And discard like a Plains. That grows the Terravore slightly. And if we ever find that Cataclysm or Armageddon, we have extra mana around. Swords to Plowshares, cool. I guess I'm going to play with the Kor Haven with that in mind. And now we'll get to have some fun with the Sylvan Library. It looks like the opponent's going for a big decree on the end step here as they tap 7 mana. I think you tap... Okay, they're going for the Thawing Glaciers, and I guess they're going to wait on the decree. Or they are doing something for 6. A decree for 3. That's not very scary. It must be an X spell, I think, the way they're tapping, because decree you pay 3, and then there's a triggered ability. Skeletal Scrying for 5. Well, that's good for my opponent. Gerard's Verdict. Okay, so they're going to gain 3 life. Haunting Echoes. Well, we could still find Cataclysm, so I guess I'm going to play it out. I'm sure they can... they already know what kind of deck we're playing. Yeah, so we're going to have Treetop Village, and then the Calls of the Herd I played and were not exiled. So we'll still have those in the deck. They leave us with 28 cards. So maybe they're trying to avoid me drawing Cataclysm also. Although at this point, they probably have like a handful of lands. Vindicate on my Sylvan Library. Alright, well, we'll just have to rip that Cataclysm. We rip a Naturalize. Well, that is not going to do it. And my Mongoose is no longer threshed, so that is sad. These decks sometimes play Phyrexian Arena, but it seems like they are not one of those people. I guess I will be bringing in the Phyrexian Furnaces to mitigate Skeletal Scrying. So they're going for the Undead Gladiator attack. We have the Kor Haven. No blocks. Cataclysm. Wasteland. Well, that is not Cataclysm. It does turn off Thawing Glaciers. And I guess I can get in for 1 here. Am I about to get decreed? No. I mean, there's maybe a spot where I could like Wasteland myself and get Threshold. But we're quite a few cards from that happening. I guess it's Naturalize my own Mox Diamond, Wasteland myself. That would get 4 cards in the graveyard. But now they're gonna, oh, there's the Cataclysm. Okay. So, what land am I gonna keep? Is the question. And is it the Kor Haven? Probably not. Is it going to be like Wasteland? Like, what's the one land they're going to keep? They probably have lands. I think I just have to keep Forest. The Kor Haven is interesting. I'm at so much life. I think I'll just keep a Forest, I suppose. Or I could just keep the Risk Grove. Doesn't seem like they're playing Wasteland. All right, let's see. We have a graveyard full of stuff, and they did not exile all our Swords to Plowshares. It's interesting. There's the Thawing Glaciers. So, I guess I knew they had that, and that I probably should have kept the Wasteland. Here's Rishadan Port, at least. Well, at least the Thawing Glaciers isn't very good. And, yeah, I'm just gonna port the plains. Sure, they'll activate the glaciers. So they do get another plains. There's a swamp, so they are not hurting for mana. Treetop Village, that's exciting. So what does this guy cost to get back? I'm probably gonna have to trade the Mongoose for this at some point. And we'll want to get in there with a Treetop Village. Gonna make the obvious play and port the swamp. Well, so I guess if they want to return it, they have to do it during their upkeep. So if I tap a plains, they tap their swamp to do it anyway. Yeah, so I'm just gonna tap the swamp. I think this shakes out the same way. Because we get to attack with a Treetop Village here. And if they play Undead Gladiator, we get to, we attack for 3 and then we kill them with the Trample if they were to try to block with Undead Gladiator. Alright, Mox Diamond, not much help. I guess we're going to try to get in. I do have a Swords. They get back the Undead Gladiator. Well, we almost had the right play there. I just, I don't know. I knew they had Thawing Glaciers. The Wasteland was right there in front of me, but they'd have a couple less lands here. If not for, I could have just remembered I need to keep Wasteland. And I probably could have sandbagged some lands earlier, maybe. So that was all not my best work. So we'll port a swamp here. A cycle Undead Gladiator. One thing we're trying to do here is catch up, back up on time, which I hadn't been thinking about until I just looked at it. This has been a crazily slow game. Well, it's funny the way my deck bailed me out with a Cataclysm, pretty much in the sweet spot. But I just, I could not put 2 and 2 together about their Thawing Glaciers. If you recall my reasoning, I was like, is this Wasteland important? Yes, it is. Opponent's cycling an Undead Gladiator. I'm just gonna tap their swamp in response. So that happens. They get back the Gladiator. I think they're gonna activate their Thawing Glaciers. Yep. And there's a cycle of the Undead Gladiator. They're not even like ahead on cards after Haunting Echoesing me, so they can't like deck me. Unless they play another Haunting Echoes. Cool, another Naturalize. Just what I wanted. Tap a swamp. Play a plains. No Thawing Glaciers, notably. Vindicate on my Mox Diamond. You got it. Vindicate on my Risk Grove. Okay. A Weathered Wayfarer. Okay, so there's 2 plains in the deck. And those are both in the graveyard. So I'm gonna discard my Windswept Heath to make it happen. Rather than fail to find. And yeah, it looks like what I can do is probably get another Treetop Village. They're going to duress away a Naturalize. That's cool. So they're not going to play Undead Gladiator this turn for what it's worth. Ooh, Call of the Herd. I gotta take advantage of the Weathered Wayfarer value here. And awkward that all my boys are like 3s. And they've got like Undead Gladiator for sure. I don't want to get behind on time here. So do I just get the Treetop Village and play it? I could also get Tranquil Thicket, but there's not much I'm trying to draw. Right, I'm just going to get the Treetop Village and play it, and that lets me port them this turn, even though I don't think porting does all that much. I guess a big Decree of Justice would be a problem. But they're not doing it yet. So what I probably want to get a Gemstone Mine at some point for my Weathered Wayfarer to have double white for a potential Cataclysm. This is a whole bunch of mana. Is it a big old skeletal scrying? Because they need to like hit on swords. A Decree of Justice for 2. Okay. Yeah, I mean that is bigger than like everything I've got. I do have the Swords to Plowshares is in the deck, and there's one of them. Okay. I'm definitely activating the Wayfarer. And I think I want my Gemstone Mine. And I'm gonna Swords one of these boys. And it does get them up to 8, unfortunately. And then we'll make a Call of the Herd token and pass. They are down to only 3 cards in hand. Well, they just drew one for the turn after all their crazy skeletal scrying. Here they go, tapping a whole bunch of mana again. Is it another Decree of Justice? Yup. Okay, well, you know, maybe we can draw Cataclysm. We drew Cataclysm once before. So, you know, it's in our wheelhouse to draw it again. I guess we had to draw it right there, right? I don't see how I can do it now. Okay, I mean, I'll cycle Secluded Steppe. I guess I could draw Swords. Oh, there's the Cataclysm. Wow, we were so close. But, yeah, there's just no way for me to get another white mana here. So very close. Yeah, it's a bummer. There's a Swords to Plowshares. Well, there's all the cards that would have been helpful a moment ago. I guess I'm going to port them. They get to attack for 16 in the air. Well, you can see how with slightly better play, we probably could have got this done. Fortunately, we did not get it done. Okay, so Naturalize not looking like a hitter. Phyrexian Furnace, good against Undead Gladiator and Skeletal Scrying. Heroes Reunion, I don't think we need Simoon and Pyroclasm. I mean, those are answers to Decree of Justice, I suppose, cycling it. It doesn't seem worth boarding anything out. Yeah, hopefully we can just not have Armageddon in our opening hand and get it discarded, right? Yep. You can count this as a spot where Phyrexian Furnace is better than Tormod's Crypt. I'd be much less excited about boarding in Tormod's Crypt in this matchup. Okay, this hand. Turn 1 Weathered Wayfarer plus Phyrexian Furnace. Sure. I mean, it's a little mana light, but we have the Weathered Wayfarer. And then we get the forest first because we're playing 3 forests. And I didn't play the Phyrexian Furnace. Alright, we're a little, I guess, rusty with Magic Online or playing in this way. Or something. So I'm going to play the Furnace here, and I'm just going to not attack with a Weathered Wayfarer. I think that's fine. I'll eat their graveyard on the upkeep. I guess I'll discard 2 Swords here. It's going to be a while before Swords would be good anyway. Nimble Mongoose, that seems like a fine draw. Now they don't have anything in hand to make me discard. Wasteland. We could get like a Threshed Mongoose here, but I don't think that is worth doing. We'd have to sacrifice our Wasteland to kill our Kor Haven and then pop the Furnace. We are in a good spot where all the Armageddons are still in my deck. Vindicate on my Wasteland. Sure. A Dust Bowl. It's not super concerning. I am going to cycle the Steppe here. This gets us very close to threshold. And I think I am just going to play this Mox Diamond and get in for 3. So they are going to Dust Bowl me. It seems fine. It's like they're Armageddoning themselves slightly. Another Mongoose seems like an excellent draw here. See, there's something Meddling Mage could not be doing. Is having 3 power and playable off a forest. Cool, cool. Basic Plains. They are getting into that territory where they could just make an Angel here, which it looks like they're doing. So that's a little unfortunate for the home team here. You know, I might have to pop the Furnace. I guess I can wait and see what we draw. A Terravore. Well, that's a pretty good one. They probably do have like a Swords though, eh? But at least we can see how this lands before popping the Furnace here. Hopefully they have a handful of Skeletal Scryings. Cycling Undead Gladiator. That seems like an encouraging start for us. A 5-mana play. Haunting Echoes. Ugh, well that's going to be good, huh? God dang. God darn it. It's going to kill my Terravore. Okay. Man, if we could just draw Armageddon, we'd be totally in this game. That's a pretty good draw too. So maybe that'll happen next turn. And, you know, I didn't activate the Phyrexian Furnace last turn. I got distracted by their Haunting Echoes. I feel pretty foolish if they Skeletal Scrying for 1 here. Looks like we're going to avoid that fate. There's the Geddon. There's a Terravore. Terravore not looking too hot. And we can't actually cast the Armageddon either. So I think I actually do want to pay 4 and put the Geddon on top. And then we'll eat the Haunting Echoes and pass the turn. Yeah, they can make me discard these cards to Gerard's Verdict. That is cool. We just need to find a land here. So maybe I'm actually going to pop the Furnace. The Skeletal Scrying a sorcery. Okay, it is an instant. I'm just going to try to find a land here off my Sylvan Library. We did it. So here is the Geddon. And do I want to put them at 3? If I draw like Swords to Plowshares, it's really good for us. Well, the opponent does have the follow-up land. Can I get a follow-up land? Yes, I can. Ooh, okay. All right, what do I want to do? I probably want to keep... What did I do? Okay, I think I did it. Oh, okay, I didn't. Oh, man, what a blunder. Well, man, I totally squandered this game. Maybe I'll draw Swords to Plowshares here. Nope. Oh well. All right, just saying some stuff in chat. All right, well, that was a crazy grind. Quite the reintroduction to Magic Online there. Well, despite the crazy disappointment of the last game, I think we were in a pretty good spot. If I just don't... Should have been a good spot after that Armageddon, having drawn the Werebear and everything. So hopefully you get the idea. All right, this hand, it is a lot of lands, but a bunch of them are good. I mean, we got some cycling lands and whatnot, so I think I am actually going to keep this. So we'll probably play the Treetop Village, and then we can start cycling. If they're on Dreadnoughts, it's good news for us. Yeah, we'll play the Treetop Village. A Powder Keg. Okay. A Terravore. So, probably do want to Wasteland this Mishra's Factory. And I think I actually want to just cycle the Tranquil Thicket rather than get my Nimble Mongoose blown up instantly. So this could be like mono blue tide control, or you do see the Dreadnoughts playing the Powder Kegs. A standstill. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll let the standstill resolve. I mean, obviously, there's not much I can do, but cycling a Tranquil Thicket doesn't really matter anyway. Okay. I guess I'll play out the Kor Haven. That's going to let them know something is up. But the standstill does indicate this is going to be tide control, which I think is a tricky matchup. Yeah, the quicksand would confirm that it's tide control. So I guess I'm just going to play the Risk Grove and bounce this Gemstone Mine. And I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have done that there because now I have to discard. All right. I mean, I don't want to play into the standstill, but maybe I should be playing into standstill here. They're just going to be drawing more cards, and I don't really have any end of turn way to do things. All right. Probably I want to like get them to pop their powder keg and then like play Weathered Wayfarer. I think I'm just going to discard Terravore because it's big and expensive. I sure missed my opportunity just to jam Nimble Mongoose. I guess I usually see like AK builds out of the mono blue tide control. It is what it is in any case. All right, so do I want to commit to this plan of having them blow up my Treetop Village? I guess I don't. I do want to get Weathered Wayfarer and Nimble Mongoose out. They do seem to be like lacking in land drops. If I can get a bunch of land drops into play and play around Mana Leak or jam a couple spells through their counter spells, that would be good. Their deck does play like 26 lands. They do seem to be stuck. All right, so we kind of have an advantage here. At least we're playing lands. Yep. Well, they found another land. Found another land too, though. They play another land. They play another land. Looks like they're missing on land drops this turn. Here's a Rishadan Port. So there's something we can do. They do find a Dust Bowl. That's probably good for them, huh? I guess I'll see how they want to use it. So they're probably going to Dust Bowl in my end step here. The idea of them like sacrificing lands doesn't hurt my feelings. Do they take out the treetop or they take out the port? It's the port. Okay. All right, I'm going to just go to my discard step and discard a Mox Diamond. See if they want to keep using their Dust Bowl or what. My Rith's Grove, that's fine. So I think I kind of do want to attack the Treetop Village, and oh man, I missed my chance. Well, I guess we're discarding another Mox Diamond. Man, I am all kinds of crusty on the Magic Online interface here. And now my opponent's drawn another land. I do want them to pop this keg, though. But we'll see if they want to Dust Bowl me or what. All right, they pop the keg. That is going to make me feel better about deploying out these Nimble Mongoose geese when the time comes. I'm losing my step. I think I can live with that. Double Dust Bowl for the opponent. It's a little scary. I'm in all kinds of an awkward spot here. I think I'm just gonna keep discarding Call of the Herds. We're losing our Gemstone Mine. That's kind of to be expected. At least the opponent's discarding 2. I mean, it'd be nice to resolve a Terravore, but it's terribly expensive. So they're just passing through their turn and discarding. Here's a Wasteland. That's pretty good. So I guess I'll Wasteland the Dust Bowl in their upkeep. And if they want to take out my Kor Haven and lose an... I guess they can just sacrifice the Dust Bowl to itself, huh? But then they are tapped out, is the thing. And so, yes, that's what I plan to do all along. So they don't play another land. It's kind of a time to strike. They probably have another powder keg is the thing. Well, at least I drew this Naturalize. So what I can do is get out the Weathered Wayfarer, which will get another mana, and then deploy a Nimble Mongoose. And then maybe we have Naturalize for their powder keg. And then hopefully they can't do too much here. I don't know, are they going to try to like tide me? That would be bad. So it is a keg. If we draw a land, we get to naturalize the keg around 4 spike, which would be really sweet. Yeah, if we draw the land, we get to naturalize the keg. And then, oh, we drew the land. Oh, Lord. Okay. Cool. So I can get my forest here. Then I can naturalize the keg. They're going to chain of vapor the keg. Okay. I guess that makes sense. I am gonna... I was supposed to activate my Weathered Wayfarer with my... Oh my god. Well... This is why we practice. To learn about how to play Magic the Gathering, not ineptly. Okay, well at least Sylvan Library is a good pickup. So I can attack for 4. We're in just in such a terrible spot if they draw like Parallax Tide. I'm not playing the Nimble Mongoose. So as to not get eaten by the keg as well. So there's a land, so they could tap out for the tide here and ruin my day. They must have a Parallax Tide, right? A chain of vapor on the Sylvan, that makes sense. I guess that could be worse. Sylvan Library. There's a counter spell. At least we're back in with a Mongoose now, though. I guess they can tide me and then just be blocking with their Mishra's Factory. A standstill. Well, if I could draw a Wasteland, that would be pretty spectacular. A Windswept Heath. I guess I have to accept this status quo here. Because we can find Wasteland maybe before they find more manlands. They do play a bunch of them, and they've only played like 1 Mishra's Factory so far. Gemstone Mine. Okay, at least we're hitting some land drops. So we've used 2 Wastelands. I guess I'm just going to keep on passing. Like I could fetch to thin. I don't want to run out of lands. Okay. Probably just going to discard the extra Cataclysm. So the Fairy Conclave is a clock. That can fly. Though they'll have to be like tapping their mana to use it. And I can Swords it in their end step. Looks like that's what they're going to do. So I think I might just take an attack here. It'd be better to stand still or pop their stand still when they have to discard more. So when they have like 8 cards in hand is when I want to pop the standstill. I have to discard something. I guess I'll discard the Cataclysm. There's a Quicksand. So maybe I'll just go for the Swords here. I think I'm just going to get my lands out. I could just draw a Wasteland, but I don't. I think I can take one more attack from the Fairy Conclave. They're just hitting all their islands now, though. All right, I guess I'm going to go ahead and do this. So they just let the Swords resolve. Okay. So what I'll get to do is attack with a Nimble Mongoose. And then Swords the Factory. Let's see. We'll see how that goes. Ooh, Wasteland. Let's start by attacking with a factory and seeing what they want to do. I mean, I really should have played the Wasteland first. So they do want to block and trade. All right, well, I'll play the Swords here and see if this is something they want to fight over. They do want to fight over it. Okay. All right, this is fine. So they can counter one more spell this turn. Let's see. So do you want to fight over Nimble Mongoose? You don't. Do you want to fight over Sylvan Library? You do. And then, I guess I'm going to play the Terravore here. See, they can tide and then bounce it. And that's not great. So I'm really kind of a mana short from being where I need to be. What do I want to leave left in my deck? There's no fetch land. There's one fetch land. Guess I don't think it matters too much. All right, well, I guess I'll play this 2020 Terravore. That is, I'm sure, not long for this world. Because they still, that's 1 Chain of Vapor, 2 Chain of Vapors, 3 Chain of Vapors. Well, they need to have their last Chain of Vapor, which is certainly possible. Is it not? Are we not going to get Chain of Vapored? We're at least not getting chained plus tided, so that's a good start. I guess I'm wastelanding the factory here, although I'm really unsure that it matters. A stifle. Okay, that's fine. You can have the stifle. Yeah, you can animate the Mishra's factory. I think this thing is summoning sick, though, at least. So they do have Chain of Vapor, but they don't have Parallax Tide, apparently. Okay. Well, they only have 3 cards in hand. So maybe I just play Terravore and then Werebear. A mana leak. Oh, well, I think I'll just pay for the mana leak. So it is all their Chain of Vapors, right? And another mana leak. Okay. That's fine. They play another Quicksand. They've got 1 card in hand. Wow. Okay. Wow, the suspense. Well, let's attack with Nimble Mongoose. Wow, they conceded. Okay, redemption arc complete. Whew, that was crazy. So unfortunately, nothing in my sideboard does anything against their deck. As well, I'm having the sad realization. I don't even have like Seal of Cleansing to help against Standstill. I mean, Naturalize can answer Mishra's Factory or Powder Keg and might do something against Parallax Wave. So, yeah, I guess we're just going to run it back here. Okay. All right. Well, you know, this hand has Weathered Wayfarer and Mox Diamond. Mox Diamond can't eat it to Powder Keg is the thing. Okay. Probably just going to discard this Rith's Grove. But we'll do this. If they want to like Force Spike my Mox Diamond, that's cool. And I guess we'll see if we're stifling my my land here. Chain of Vapor. Okay. Does this make me want to change my play at all? I could just jam... I mean, we could jam Call of the Herd here rather wildly. Or I could jam Terravore, a 3/3 Terravore. I could also jam... I could play Weathered Wayfarer and then play Werebear. I think I actually like that. Because the Werebear makes mana if something happens. So this is interesting. All right, Werebear, go and be better than Anurid Brushhopper. So they do have the Powder Keg. Yeah, see, I probably should have got the Plains here, but I did not... They're going to let me activate the keg. They are. Wow. Okay, well, we drew the white anyway. So let's see. Well, I'm not going to waste any time activating Weathered Wayfarer. And then what do I want? I think Windswept Heath into Terravore here looks pretty good. If I had thought harder about that, maybe I would have gotten like Rith's Grove and just settled for a 3/3 Terravore. I don't know. We'll see. We've done a good job, though, of putting our opponent on the back foot a little bit. So they probably have to pop this keg on 1, and that is just what happens. Wasteland would be like such a sick draw here. Swords. Okay, so I'm gonna play the Gemstone Mine. I'm gonna play the Call of the Herd. And now I'm going to attack, and if they activate the Mishra's Factory, we sort it, and either way we're gonna get Threshold. They smartly declined to block. Cool. So they just have to pass back here, so we sure are beating down with a lot of power. Another swords. I'm just going to start by attacking with a squad. Seeing what they want to do. I have double swords here, which is pretty good. So I'm just going to swords this now. You know, in retrospect, I probably should have boarded out the swords to plowshares. But yeah, okay, this Teferi's response is going to get me pretty good. But we are beating in for 11. And, you know, I can actually just swords this thing again. And now they are down on mana. And they are staring down 11 power at 6 life. Okay, another factory. Another swords. I wonder if they have another Teferi's response. Hibernation. Yeah, that's a good one, huh? That is going to slow me down, unfortunately. Bummer. All right, well, that is the best thing for them to have there. I guess I just redeploy the Terravore. If we rip a Wasteland, it's lethal in 1 attack. Now they can probably tide me plus. Okay, they're not tiding me. That is really good news. I feel like maybe they just don't have Parallax Tide in their deck. But if they had done the Tide Chain of Vapor trick there, it'd be a pretty big blowout. A Mox Diamond does not really help. Okay, the Terravore is just in. I'll play the Werebear here. Gets hit with a mana leak, makes sense. We are still not getting tided. If this was real life, we'd be getting tided. So, a factor fiction. Wow. The old double chain of vapor. That's so irritating. So they need a chain of vapor right now before this damage happens. So I could give them both chain of vapors. And then I could just Terravore plus Weathered Wayfarer. I guess it'll have to do. Otherwise, they get Force Spike plus Chain of Vapor. Seems pretty bad. Yeah, so they take the double chain pile. And yeah, they're gonna They're going to Chain of Vapor my Terravore here. There it is. And here's a Terravore. And here's a Weathered Wayfarer. They did not have the Force Spike. That's nice. Here's a Chain of Vapor. Cool. We knew that was one of their 2 cards. So I'm gonna I'm gonna go get a Treetop Village here. I guess I should have played the Terravore first. And I'll play the Terravore here. If this gets like 4 spiked, that would be crazy. Counterspell, cool. An Impulse. Okay. But what we can do is use the Weathered Wayfarer to get Wasteland and then activate Treetop Village and attack. But maybe this is the turn we get Tided. But they need to have like Tide and Stifle off a Powder Keg. Well, that's pretty good, huh? All right. Well, what are we going to draw? Sylvan Library. So I'm going to activate the Wayfarer. Do I just get another Treetop Village? And then attack with my first Treetop Village? Oops. I guess I don't know if Wastelanding the factory really matters. It would be nice to have the library in play. I just get them to pop the... Yeah, maybe the Treetop Village beatdown is fine here. And then we'll just go ahead and get in with the first Treetop Village. But I guess this trades with Mishra's Factory. So maybe I've done this poorly. Dang. Okay, they popped the keg. So that is good. So we still get to fetch Wasteland and then use it. And if I draw a land, we get to play Mox Diamond. So, I at least should have boarded out like a Mox Diamond and a Swords, probably. Or maybe just 2 Mox Diamonds for 2 Phyrexian Furnaces. As these keep getting eaten by kegs. Alright, they impulse and pass. So I really would like to draw a land here. That'd be pretty excellent. Another Mox Diamond, sweet. What land am I going to get here? I mean, we just lose really hard to Teferi's Response, but... I guess I can play the Sylvan Library and then Wasteland them on the upkeep. Fact or fiction? Well, I might as well Wasteland the factory here. Though I guess I could potentially eat it to 4 spike. Okay, Hibernation. Doesn't really matter too much. A Fairy Conclave. Seems like the split's going to be something like this. Well, I really don't care about either Fairy Conclave. Quicksand. I guess it kind of slows down the Treetop Village. So maybe we'll do that. So they kept the Conclave Island Hibernation hand, okay. Then they played Island. Okay, well I don't have any green creature. Oh, it's all green permanents, I see. So do they have an answer to my Treetop Village here? Man, I don't know. I guess what I can do is fetch up a land for free and then activate the Treetop Village. So I'm gonna get my I think I'm just going to get Kor Haven, play Mox Diamond, and discard the... There we go. And then I just don't know what it could be. I like dominate maybe. It is dominate. Well, they can't activate the Treetop Village is the good news. So maybe I don't know. Maybe I walked into it there. And I should have just lived to fight it. I guess they obviously had to have dominate. Okay. Let's activate Weathered Wayfarer. Let's get a land. Which land do I want? I think Wasteland seems fine. I'll play Wasteland. I'm just trying to... Like, I could play another Mox Diamond, but I don't want to eat it to Powder Keg. So I'll play Sylvan Library. We'll pass it back. They have a factory. And so the big question is, do they have, like, an answer for this Armageddon? I'll put... I guess drawing Nimble Mongoose seems good. Okay, and the opponent conceded. Alright, well, we were probably going to play Armageddon there. And then play Nimble Mongoose. So, okay, well, we did it there. I think Tide Control is a rough matchup, but this seems to be Tideless Control. I mean, I guess when they obviously have to have Dominate, you should probably, you know, come up with a different game plan. All right, well, one more, I think. Okay, we're on the play, and this is a hand that with that we're gonna keep. We're gonna play Weathered Wayfarer, and then set it up with Risk Grove. So that'll be that should be pretty sweet. So here's the turn one Wayfarer. Ooh, a Mox Diamond from the opponent. Okay, so this is going to indicate they're on Oath of Druids. So if they're going to turn one Oath here, that's not good news. A Sphere of Resistance. Okay, well, it could be worse. It could have been a turn one Oath of Druids. All right, I'm going to play this Nimble Mongoose. We are kind of begging for it from a Pyroclasm, but their deck plays typically 2 Pyroclasms. So we pass it on back. Another Sphere of Resistance. Okay. Well, I can see we're not going to get any Weathered Wayfarer value. Treetop Village is a pretty good one. Although yeah, we probably want to get out this other goose. We're just going to continue hoping that they do not have Pyroclasm. Or Oath of Druids for that matter. They just pass it back. Cool. Alright. Call of the Herd. We are a long ways from doing Call of the Herd things. So I'm going to play the Treetop Village here. And get in for 3. I guess we can actually do Call of the Herd things next turn. Looks like they're going to play Oath of Druids. No, they got Pyroclasm. All right, well, you know, sometimes you get clasmed. So I guess that I cannot activate my Gemstone Mine. And it's just going to die if I keep it, or if I activate it. So I guess we're attacking the Treetop Village here. I guess it's fine anyway. So we're going to get back the Gemstone Mine. And then I'm going to activate Treetop Village. And we're going to get in. I guess if they hit another land here and can start thermokarsting me, it's going to be good news for them. So the Rith's Grove was maybe pretty bad here. Well, the combination of Rith's Grove and Gemstone Mine proving to be kind of unfortunate. Yeah, I'm just gonna... Well... We risk Oath of Druids, but they don't seem to have Oath of Druids. They're at 11 life. I think I am just going to keep attacking here. And, yeah, I think I'm actually going to Wasteland them. That's actually, I think, the smart thing to do. And just try to keep them off of... Well, if they do draw... If they draw, like, a Mishra's Factory... Well, there's a Wasteland for our Treetop Village, so that's not very good. But I'll at least make them activate it. Ooh, Terravore. There's a heckin' jonker. Okay. Well... Even if they have Oath of Druids, we're just gonna... Their Terravore can't be bigger than our Terravore. They're at 5 mana now, though, so is that, in fact, what they're doing? Yep. So I'm gonna naturalize one of their Mox Diamonds. And just keep them off further 3-drops. I think. And attack with his Terravore. So they have to trade. And so hopefully they don't rip land into another Terravore. Sylvan Library. Okay, well, when you're at 8 life, that's okay. You can Sylvan. Okay, so we can activate Treetop Village and attack. And I'm going to deploy this Weathered Wayfarer. And so they can play Oath of Druids, but I guess they aren't quite dead. Play Mishra's Factory. I guess the Weathered Wayfarer, they only have 4 lands in play. It's possible this was poorly conceived. Thermokarst, okay. And so we're still not ahead on lands. Secluded Steppe. So I think it is Call of the Herd time. And we'll attack with a Weathered Wayfarer. And they at least cannot use Sylvan Library, although they pretty much couldn't anyway, being only a 5 life, but now they really can't. Okay, well there's the Oath of Druids, but now I can just attack for the win, right? Okay. So I don't think Armageddon and Cataclysm are actually very good here. They're very expensive and their land destruction gets under ours. We do want Revelation, Array of Revelation to clear Oath of Druids. And then maybe Phyrexian Furnace can help in situations against like their Terravore. And then I don't think I want to cut anything else. Cool. So we've got a turn 1 Sylvan Library here. If we can fade the turn 1 Sphere of Resistance. And it looks like we can. So I am going to just discard the Tranquil Thicket. Because as it comes into play, tapped land. The shuffle off of Windswept Heath, kind of almost as good as a cycler here. Anyway, assuming the Sylvan Library sticks around for a turn. Cool, we're going to do some Rishadan Port gaming here. We're going to tap our forest. More lands is okay. A Nimble Mongoose. I think we're just going to be great and pay 8 here. And what I'd really love to find is like Ray of Revelation. So am I just gonna wing it with Nimble Mongoose here? I guess I kind of have to with this hand. There's one force left in the deck. And if they just play Oath of Druids, it's pretty rough, but I just don't... I mean, I can Swords the first Terravore, and I can always just maybe find another Array of Revelation or something off the Sylvan Library. So here we go. That's not Array of Revelation. Nope, none of this is good. But what I can do, so we get to shuffle and Swords the first Terravore. So that's something. Oh, okay, there's the Terravore. I was trying to figure out what happened. All right, a Call of the Herd token for the opponent. That's fine. I'm just gonna get this Swords out of the way. They have themselves an elephant. Well, maybe we'll see the answer here. We got there with the answer. Nice. Okay. Don't think I need to draw. We do want. We're gonna have Threshold, and then Call of the Herd token. Okay, so I'm gonna ask for more and pay 4. So we'll naturalize the Oath of Druids. I guess I didn't need the Mox Diamond in retrospect to get Threshold. I could have drawn one more card and gone to 2. Well, anyway, we're gonna... And then I could have gotten out an extra Nimble Mongoose this turn. Maybe I should have done that. And here is an elephant. All right. Well, hopefully we can fade another Oath of Druids. They only play 4 Oath of Druids, so if you kill the first Oath of Druids, that usually leaves you in a pretty good spot. I could have like a Terravore here too, though. That'd be pretty awesome. Well, they have another Oath of Druids, so good on them. Oh, well, they are on all Oath of Druids. So we, Ray of Revelation here, folks. That's what we're looking for. We don't get there. So they're going to get to Oath twice here is the thing. So I'm pretty much just dead, and it'd probably be better just not to reveal anything else about my deck. I don't know, we're going to get in for 6. Like maybe they only play 2 copies of Terravore post board and are going to mill themselves, and that'll somehow... I didn't bring in my Reprisals. That was foolish. So that is something I definitely should have brought in, huh? I did, okay. Well, you know, that's why we practice. Okay, I flashback an elephant. They've got 2 14/14 Terravores. I don't really know how we could possibly get anywhere. Cool, they've got it. So I'm just trying to decide what I want to cut for these Reprisals. Like maybe just Nimble Mongoose isn't anything special and eats it to Pyroclasm. Maybe I can just do without the Nimble Mongoose. And I'll bring in the get-ins on the off chance that it works. And I'm confused how I have 62 cards in the deck. Oh, I actually brought in Pyroclasm here. Okay. Yeah, so I'll bring in the get-ins, and maybe these will get in a spot where they're not terrible on the play here. Okay, this hand has the Ray of Revelation, which is really good. And it only has one land, but it has the double Wayfarer. I guess we're keeping. It's pretty awkward that this hand only has one land. The good thing about this deck is it does play 26. Got a pretty good crack at drawing another one. Here's a Mox Diamond. Well, this is going to be tough for our game plan of our opponent playing lands. Well, deck, maybe you can rip a land for me one time. It's almost what I wanted. I'm going to attack with a Wayfarer. This is the thing about playing... Well, we do play 26 lands, but 6 of them are coming to play tapped lands. And our opponent's just going to not worry about our Weathered Wayfarers. I guess I'll just play out the other one. Maybe keeping a one-lander, banking on Weathered Wayfarer on the play is like a terrible idea. Well, I played the Weathered Wayfarer anyway. If we get Clasmed, yeah, I mean, we weren't doing anything anyway with these cards, so... we're all in on Ray of Revelation to take us to the Promised Land here. A Wasteland, that's pretty ugly. Call of the Herd. Okay. Gemstone Mine. Okay. That's a start. So I kind of want to not worry about this Sylvan Library for now. And get this Werebear out. Of course, this eats it to Pyroclasm also. Ugh. I don't know. We just have to be able to get... If we can get Terravore down, we're obviously in a really good spot. But if we get like we get Wastelanded. Our man is just in a shaky spot here, so this is wild. They get in with Elephant Token. Do we have Pyroclasm? We have Rishadan Port. Okay, none of this. Herd. Elephant tokens are fine. I can live with that. A Naturalize. So I've got 4 mana to work with here. So we can Ray the Sylvan Library. Probably need to do that. And then play this other Werebear. We're going to take some Elephant Beatdown. But then we do get to... Yeah, we just got to survive the onslaught of these elephants for like one more turn here. And not get Pyroclasmed. So if we can accomplish all of that, that'll be good. We could maybe chump block an elephant with a Wayfarer here. It would get us closer to Threshold. Is that something I want to do? We're probably going to get ported. We're just not very close to Threshold anyway. I just don't think these things are doing anything. If we can get into Threshold, we'll be in really good shape. We can technically ignore Oath here. Another Sylvan, okay. So we're getting ported, is the first question. Yes, on our Gemstone Mine. Okay. So that's going to mean we can play the Terravore here. And it's big enough to block. We're awfully close to Threshold. We're just not quite there. Okay, that is not Pyroclasm. It is Sylvan Library, though. I guess I have to naturalize this. And then we're just so close to threshold. I'm gonna port my forest. Only have plenty of green. Armageddon. I can play Armageddon, right? Yep. Okay, so that happened. So we get to attack for 10. So we just need to fade land Terravore from our opponent, basically. Okay, we won. Nice. Okay, well, yes, we did pull out a win there. So we lost round 1 against Black-White, Vindicate Control. We probably should have, you know, played a little bit smarter and kept the Wasteland when we knew they had Thawing Glaciers and not drawn too many cards with Sylvan Library. And that seemed pretty winnable. Then the Mono Blue Tide player did seem like they just weren't playing Parallax Tide. So I see that Parallax Tide is like a 13 ticks online. Man, I wouldn't say that's prohibitively expensive. Might be more than you want to spend on a pre-modern deck online. But I mean, we saw so many cards so that, you know, if they were playing Parallax Tide, you would think we would have saw it. I mean, you're playing all these Stifles and Chain Vapors. How can you not be playing Parallax Tide? I don't know. And there was a lot of tough spots, though. I think where if they'd had Parallax Tide, it would have been rough. So Cataclysm really didn't do anything special. We didn't really get the matchups where it mattered. Werebear seemed perfectly serviceable. Although there were spots where we really could have eaten it to Pyroclasm in game 3 against Oath there, but I mean, I think I liked it. I like the way the Werebear plus Armageddons do seem to... It seems to help playing with the 4-drops. So maybe, you know, we just don't play the Cataclysms and we max out on Armageddons. As far as the sideboard goes, so there just is this configuration where instead of playing Ray of Revelation and Reprisals, you load up on Disenchants, which is great against Dreadnought because you get 2 more answers. Instead of these Ray of Revelations, they're Disenchants. Ray of Revelation, though, is like much better against like Survival and Sylvan Library decks. You really don't want to be playing like 7 Disenchants against Survival. Just playing Ray of Revelation to solve the whole Survival problem pretty good. But with that said, I mean, I kind of do want like 1 more Naturalize in the deck somewhere. So I don't know, I mean, maybe I could cut my $600 in paper Mox Diamond or something and just get the 3rd Naturalize in there. Drawing a lot of Mox Diamonds can be rough. I mean, when they get powder kegged, it's absolutely brutal. So I don't know, maybe this is a configuration I could try. We didn't really get to see Simoon or Heroes Reunion do its thing. But anyway, well, that was, I haven't played Magic Online in months. So if you like pre-modern content, yeah, we're gonna be playing decks that are like actually good. I got like some, you know, old border survivals and Phyrexian dreadnoughts and whatnot. So yeah, pretty exciting. Yeah, I can't wait to be playing decks that are like actually good. I mean, the thing about like Beefcake is that it loses to Phyrexian Dreadnought, which is like the best deck in the metagame. So that's a pretty rough one. Yeah, there's like green-white Cataclysm Oath, green-red Oath like we just witnessed, Survival Terrageddon, aka Corned Beef Hash, Phyrexian Dreadnought. We're going to practice with Meddling Mages. We got some nice old border Meddling Mages to play with. All things I expect to be coming to you soon on the channel. All right, thanks for watching. Have a good one.